Hi, everybody. Janet Boynes here from Healing and Made Free with Janet Boynes Ministries. I'm so excited to have State Representative Matt Grossell with me from Minnesota. You know, Representative Matt, I saw a video and it was from Child Protection League, and you were on that and you were speaking about something that's near and dear to my heart, and it had a lot to do with child sexual abuse. I want to address that video because everything that you said in that video really, one, caught me off guard. You said something like, it was said that when they are caught, they are not severely punished. When a sex offender gets caught, what do you mean by that? They are not severely punished. And two-part, what can be done so they are punished severely?
Well, I look at this video, and my piece of legislation that I'm working on is to increase penalties on child pornography. And to call it child pornography is an understatement. These are videos and imagery of child rape, torture, and abuse and humiliation. That's what it is. It is illegal. And the statute that I'm talking about is our out of date and and poorly designed child pornography law in the state of Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So many people have this idea that this is a victimless crime, and it's not. It is not a victimless crime.
Mm-hmm.
You have crime scenes in every one of these, photos and videos.
Mm-hmm.
Our statute, for the most part, is a presumed stay of any
Mm-hmm.
kind of execution of sentence.
Right.
Now, only in recent years has the production of child pornography been moved to a presumed prison, unless, as long as the child is, I believe, under 13. So it just tells me, all right, what about these teenage kids that
Mm-hmm.
are being victimized? Is still a presumed stay for them? And then also, in more recent years, dissemination, the sharing of it.
Mm-hmm.
The sharing of it for profit, or just the sharing of it, is now a presumed prison. And that doesn't guarantee they're going to spend any time in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But the largest number of prosecutions in the state of Minnesota falls into the possession area. And these individuals that have these stashes of this type of video and imagery, they have thousands of pictures, and they have many, many videos, hundreds of videos. And this is where the degradation of their mind has brought them,
Mm-hmm.
to where they're preying on children now. And 50% of these people that the number that I had from, I believe it was from the organization Protect, 50% of these people, when they are incarcerated, they are hands-on predators. They have victimized children.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of these dark websites says that I'm learning from people who are working in the human trafficking area. They are, in order to get into these areas, they have to produce a video of their own to
Mm-hmm.
share, so that they know, that people that have these sites know that they're not a cop.
Mm-hmm.
They have to make their own video of child molestation, rape, torture, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to increase the penalties to make sure that, if these are the type of people that are coming to Minnesota and wanting to victimize children in this fashion, I mean, we're working on our criminal sexual conduct statute. We're working on our human trafficking and sex trafficking statutes to increase and to hold people accountable for that.
Mm-hmm.
But child pornography has been left behind, it's been forgotten.
Right.
And it is all just a horrible, ugly wheel that feeds off each other.
Mm-hmm.
The human trafficking, the narcotics trade, the sex trafficking, the child pornography rapes, these all feed off each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so in talking to former colleagues in the law enforcement field that have gotten into the computer crimes against children, so types of investigations,
Mhm.
they tell me such horrific stories of what they have to view in order to in order to build a case against these individuals. And then if they cannot get it heard or prosecuted in federal court, where there's some teeth, in the statute as far as what happens to these people who are preying on kids, they merely get a slap on the wrist if they get prosecuted in state court in Minnesota.
Representative Matt, what you're saying to me is that I can go and steal something out of a store and I'll be penalized a lot more than if I was a predator,
That's a good chance.
which doesn't make any sense to me. Look, I was raped before. I'm not a victim, I'm a victor. And that's why I'm out doing what I am doing today, is because this cannot continue to happen on our watch. What you're saying is that this is a big problem. Minnesota is one of the worst in the nation as far as holding predators accountable. Is this our legislation here that is not doing anything about it? Who do we hold accountable for this? The courts? Our legislators? Who?
You know, until somebody brings it to a legislator's attention, if they don't have any experience working in either the law enforcement field or the prosecution, or if you're not working in the criminal justice system, some of these things people just don't know about, which is sad, very sad. The only ones that really know about it are the ones who are preying on kids and the kids themselves, the victims. You know, because what I'm learning is that this is such a painful and ugly topic. Nobody really wants to talk about it. When they watch this video shattered, so many people are enraged. And when I've spoken at different venues across the state over this past year, people just do not know how poor our statute is. So somewhere it has fallen through the cracks. With the advances in forensics, computer forensics, to be able to find these things and to be able to hold these people accountable, those have made such good advances that now it's showing, to me, the way I'm understanding it, now it is showing just how horrific this crime really is. And so it is the responsibility, and that's why I've picked it up, because our investigators, like I said, former colleagues of mine when I worked in law enforcement, are bringing it to my attention and asking for help. These kids are not getting the justice that is due them, and these predators are not being held accountable by any stretch of the imagination.
As a person who was raped, I hold a lot of guilt because there's somebody in my family that was raped by the same man, which was my mother's husband, because I didn't say anything. I was 13 years old and I was silent until I was 21, when I was ashamed. I thought I would get in trouble for it. I started blaming myself, like I did something wrong. And I'm wondering, and I will always wonder, if I could have stopped it, if I would have said something. But you know what? When I told my mother when I was 21, she didn't believe me. Not until the other person came forward 10 or 11 years later and told my mother the same story that I told her. Then she believed me. Then she apologized and really felt bad about it. But I think a lot of children are afraid nobody's going to believe me. That's what they're being told. Nobody's going to believe me. Nobody really cares about me. I know, even as a pastor under the Assemblies of God, it didn't happen with this, but I know pastors around the country who have raped young kids and they're not believed. They will believe the pastor over the children. Now, there's no child out there just trying to get somebody in trouble and say, hey, this person raped me, just because they have nothing better to do. I don't believe that. So if a child comes to you, those of you that are listening to this podcast, and mention or say they were raped, you need to believe them, because we need to get these predators off the street. When they rape or when they hurt one of our children. I think I was listening to the video, and I'm trying to hold back tears shattered. I think the police officer who I will be interviewing next month said that I think one of the children, please quote me if I'm wrong, was, placed on a pole, a baby, and held up in the air through her vagina. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Screaming, this child. And we let these predators back on the street after they're harming our children. Me as a Black person can threaten somebody and I'll be thrown in jail before they throw a predator in jail. Something's wrong with this system and we got to do more. And I'm so grateful that you're out there speaking on this issue. So here in Minnesota, we're talking about, children being sexually assaulted, pornography, $1 billion industry, which nobody is doing anything about. What does it mean to have a mandatory minimum? What does that mean?
Well, just to give you just a little bit of history on it, I tried to do it the political way. I tried to reach across the aisle. I tried to reach across to our Senate, and being in the House of Representatives, it's it's an experience. Never thought I'd be a politician. Boils down to I'm not a politician. I'm an old cop, an old deputy. And when I see a problem, it needs to be addressed. We need to fix this. And when it's something this horrible, it needs to be done now. And the political process, it seems like nobody wants to take a bold step. Let's deal with this. Let's fix what we know is wrong, and let's protect our children.
Maybe they'll take a bold step if it happens to their child. Because what's happening with our children is once they're molested by male or female, especially women, many of them, 80%, you might not know the stats, of women that are living a homosexual life have been molested or raped. They don't want to be in a relationship with another man because they associate men with abuse or sexual assault. And we have to do more about that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
But the mandatory minimum, after many rejections of getting hearings and many attempts to take the teeth out of even the small steps I wanted to take to try to, okay, we got to take small steps. This is how the politics works. Then even when I was trying to take small steps to try to get something moving, they would try to take the teeth out of it. So I said, heck with it. I went to my nonpartisan research and I said, give me a mirror of the federal guidelines. If nobody wants to help with this, I'm going to feed this to them. I'm going to bring this into the political realm, and I'm going to tell them I want this for our state statute, knowing full well that it's going to be a fight, and that I may have to give some ground on it. But mandatory minimum means that these predators will go to prison, where there will be a heavy, let's say, a heavy punishment hung over their heads, so that hopefully, if they get counseling in prison, that they'll take it seriously, that they won't be on the street to hurt any more kids, and that the children that they have victimized have some justice. I can't fix the damage that has already been done to them. And believe me, I wish I could. I wish I could.
But we can do what we can to get them the best help that we can. When somebody comes to me that's dealing with homosexuality, they've been raped, we do our best to reach out to the counselors that we know. If they can't afford it, we find a way to help pay for that here at Janet Boynes Ministries, because I get it. I was raped. I understand when nobody listens, because, I had to put myself in counseling. I'm 63 years old, and I really believe sometimes that's probably why I haven't married, out of fear that what happened to my mother, not only was she physically abused, I was raped. And I thought, what if it happens to me? I don't want that to happen to me. I have a lot of male friends. There's a lot of good men out there. So everybody's not like this. But when we will not do anything about our children being raped, or an adult being raped, because it's not only our children, but there's adults, there's male and female across the spectrum that are being raped by these predators, and our children are being sold. And that's just that. All of that goes hand in hand, because if they're being sold, they're being raped.
Yeah.
There
And
has to be a solution.
in order to hopefully bring this ugly wheel to a stop, you have to hit it from every angle. You have to attack it from every angle. And I've always held in my mind this this saying: in order for evil to gain a foothold, all it takes is for good men to do nothing. And nothing has been done about increasing the penalties in this area. And it's like I said, it's an ugly topic, but it's got to be done.
Right.
And the more I learn about it by talking to my former colleagues and by talking to some of the other resources, the people from Protect, John Euler from out in South Carolina, someone that has treated for many years sexual predators and victims. You know, the more I learn about it, the more the good Lord put me on this path to fight for these children.
Yes.
And I'm not going to stop.
Well, I'm with you. Whatever I can do here at Janet Boynes Ministries, I want to be able to assist you and come alongside of you. But what I have noticed is that they will support. I have nieces and nephews that are living a homosexual life. I lived that life over 20 years ago, but they'll do more for the gays and lesbians and transgender than they'll do for the children that are being molested and raped and dealing with these predators. Why should we say child abuse imagery instead of child pornography? Why aren't we calling it what it is?
It's exactly. You know, and I have no idea. And that is something that I'm going to look at, a piece of legislation to change that definition, to what it really is. Because when you say pornography, it brings to mind in people something that is accepted in this society. That's my take on it. If you tell them, when I tell them this is child rape and torture, sexual abuse, humiliation, that's what this stuff is. Pornography is gives a sense of consent, consensual activity. This is not. Children cannot consent.
Right.
Children cannot consent. They are being victimized. And back to the mandatory minimum portion. The statute, the bill that I put forward will take the distributors or the producers, the distributors, and the people who receive this stuff. They will do mandatory minimum sentences. They will go to prison. We'll get them off the street. The possession portion of it can also be sentenced. The possession portion, it can also be sentenced with receipt. Because in order to possess it, you have to receive it. So there's going to be more accountability even in the possession area. And there's also attached to it, there'll also be attached to it, as I move forward, a mandatory, this is what you're going to do if you decide to deviate from the sentences, sending them to prison. This is what is going to be required.
It sounds like you have to jump through a lot of hoops to get this law into a place where we can put these guys away for a very, very, very long time.
You know, it is, and it is really not necessary, because everybody and anybody I speak to in the House of Representatives or senators, it's a no-brainer to them. But not everybody knows about this stuff.
Right. So I'm assuming they know now.
Yeah. Oh, they're learning, because I sent that video out to every member. I had that video sent out to every member in the House.
Good.
I had it, Child Protection League sent it out to every member in the Senate. And then it's been put out through different media areas. And this is the video Shattered we're talking about.
So when will it be brought to the floor?
I have yet to get a hearing in committee.
You would think that with something like this and that video and the statistics and all those that were on counselor, police officer, Nicole, yourself, they would have put this right on the books right away. So what is it going to take? And can the governor do anything about this?
You know, I have asked um, the Senate chairs for hearings. I have asked the House chairs for hearings. I've reached out to the governor with no response. And both in the Senate and in the House, I have not gotten a hearing this last session or this session yet. So I believe it's going to take public pressure to open their eyes. Just like with all of the violent crime that has been going on throughout this country.
Exactly.
Suddenly when there's public pressure coming at them, they wake up. And you know, so I've asked them, what did it reach the suburbs, or what happened here? You know, is that why you're opening your eyes now? And just like you said earlier, these people, it hasn't hit close to home. This child pornography, this victimization of children has not hit close to home.
Exactly.
For Nicole, it hit close to home when that assistant principal victimized, 50 children in that school district.
Do they know what school that was?
Yeah, yep. It was a school back in my district in Bemidji.
What? Okay, we can't say the name of the school.
You know what?
Why would we want to protect the school or even this guy when he does things like that? His name needs to be out there so people.
Oh, he is doing federal time right now.
Good. So these other predators, is this considered a federal offense or just a misdemeanor?
If it is considered, well, how do they? It would be a felony offense. Okay. I don't know how it's what the verbiage is for federal guidelines, but it is when you look at the federal guidelines, it has some teeth in it. It holds these people accountable, holds these predators accountable.
Right.
And that's what just blew me away when I looked at our state guidelines. They were worlds apart. One is a slap on the hand, the other one is accountability. And so that is, so I understood in a hurry why these investigators were crying for help.
Are they registered as a sex offender?
If they end up in the state prison system, they must register.
Only if they
if they end up in federal, and if they end up in the state prison system, when they come out, then they must be assessed a level. They must be assessed a level. And when you heard about it was the Jacob Ken case during the shattered video, because he did not go into the prison system, he did local county time. They are not assessed a level. That is why when he murdered his girlfriend and abducted the child and raped her, that is why he didn't come up on the radar right off the bat, because he was not assessed a level. And that is what my pieces of legislation will do.
Yeah,
the one piece of legislation will make sure that people who do not end up going into the prison system, who receive some type of stay, they will be required to register.
Representative, go ahead.
And then the other piece is the one for the child pornography statute that will be mandatory minimums and then other requirements.
Do you know I post this video on my fan page and on my personal Facebook page to all my Minnesota friends out there, and I'm gonna call them out. Do you know, I think there's like a few of them that watched it. They did not want to watch it because when you know better, you do better. But when you see it, you're held accountable for it. Yeah. And it's almost like they didn't want to look at it. I mean, these are some of my good friends. Some are pastors. Some are, my good friend Dan Hall. I'm sure he watched that. You know who Dan Hall is. Very good friend of mine. Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann. I'm going to send it to her if she has not seen it. I have her cell number. We're good friends. She got me to write her for my first book. I'm going to send it out to her husband, Marcus Lamb. We have to get involved. And I think that's part of the problem. those of you who are watching, whether you're in Minnesota, whether you're in California, Florida, wherever you may be, or you're out of the country, get involved. If someone is out there and you know they have raped somebody, say something. When you hear something, you got to say something. How are we going to protect our kids or even your kids if we don't put it out there? We have so many people, you know, Representative Matt, that are walking in fear, afraid of getting involved. That doesn't make any sense to me. When you see children that are being hurt, that are being abused, I don't care if it's the mother or the father that are abusing them, just like all those children that, you know, were being tied up, that was being, you know, in chains. That one family that had what, 10 kids and nobody knew about it, and they were victimized. We know when something's happening. Sometimes people are like, I just don't want to get involved. Well, it's time to get involved, folks. Those of you who are listening to this podcast, if you know anybody that has been raped, that you know there's a predator on your block, send it to Janet Boyne's Ministries. I'll put that information out there. If you have facts, I promise you, we'll send it out there so everybody knows about it. Representative Matt, when we talk about the public, we talk about the school systems, what can we do? I mean, how can we get the public to do more than what they're doing? Because if somebody doesn't want to do something, they're not going to do it. There has to be a way to tie their hands behind their back and force them to do it. I just don't know what the answer is.
More and more, what I've experienced over this past year is when they are informed about it, they are ready to go. They want to step up. And I tell them, you need to be vigilant, you need to listen, you need to be watching, and you need to be involved with your schools, with your preschools, with all of it, and be paying attention. If you see something that's weird, or if you get that gut feeling that just something's not right, you need to inquire about it. You need to check into it. And anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. We all, you know, as believers, we all have some level of discernment. We can tell when something's wrong.
Right.
You know, and I'm looking at these children. You know, you talk about these children that are in chains, and these survivors of child pornography, of child pornography. In a Canadian study that is shared between Canada and the United States, they did a study, and these victims, they spend the rest of their life looking over their shoulder. They spend the rest of their life looking over their shoulder, wondering, who saw that video? Who's going to recognize me? Right. And that hinders their healing. And Dr. Euler in the video, he said he's telling us the same thing. He spent I don't know how many years in the Pennsylvania prison system. So he had these people right there to study directly and to get information to back up everything that he's been working on and saying. You know, and I look at academia and some of the things that are coming forward as far as these predators, and I'm like, you do realize you're talking to some of the people that are the most manipulative and the best liars on the planet.
Yeah, they are.
Because they are predators. They go after those people that they can manipulate, they can victimize, that they can threaten and control. That is what predators do. And for me, you know, I have come from a big family, and I had 3 of my older sisters that were victimized by a trusted priest, family priest.
Yep.
And to this day, you know, I believe to this day that is part of why I go after this, why I'm going after this so hard, is because there was no justice for them. Nobody wanted to help. Nobody wanted to hold this priest is dead and gone now. But from what I've learned over the years, nobody wants to hold these people accountable. And so, you know, being in the position I am, having the experiences that I've had, it's I'm like, no, this is going to stop. We are going to make some changes. These predators are going to be taken off the street and put into prison. Everybody, Minnesota is one of the lowest incarceration states in the nation. We're tied with 3 other states as being the lowest for
Right.
incarceration. All right. So, but everybody always says, these other legislators always say, we want to save these prison beds for those who really need to be there. And I say,
I'm sorry, but that's a joke.
I know. And I tell them, well, I have the piece of legislation that will take the people that that you're saying really need to be there. These people are raping and molesting and abusing children. They need to be taken off the street so that they can't hurt anymore.
So they would rather, as I said earlier, you have somebody that robs a bank, might take, $500,000. You want to put them in jail, a drug addict, not that they don't belong in jail, but they will put those guys in jails or females before they put a rape victim in jail. I think we got this thing.
Before they put a rapist, not a rape victim.
A rapist. I'm sorry, a rapist in jail. I think we got it twisted. When I really think about, it's backwards. When I really think about, my mother's husband, even though she wasn't with him at that time, and he raped me. And when I found out he raped somebody else near and dear to my heart in our family, I confronted him. Do you know he lied and said he never did it? I never did that to you. And I said, oh, so me and another sibling is lying? We didn't even know about each other until recently. And he lied. And I always think about how many other children did this man rape before he passed away? How many more? And so what I want to say to those that are listening, don't be silent. I was silent for a very long time, and a younger person in my family was raped by the same guy. And what we do is, when we don't say something, we allow them to continue to hurt other children or other people. Representative Matt, I want you to just speak from your heart to those not only in Minnesota, but around the world, because this is going to be in state and out of state. Many will follow me on my new podcast. What would you like to say to them?
I would like to say to them that, I work with colleagues who are trying to make good changes to not only our criminal sexual conduct laws, but also other violent areas as far as hurting people, and always trying to make sure that these predators and these criminals are held accountable. I'm trying to work in the area of child pornography, child rape and torture, imagery and video, and this is the area that I've been focused on. And I just, I want people to know that Minnesota is like we said earlier. Minnesota is one of the worst for holding these predators accountable in the child pornography area, that crime. And this is a fight. And in order to bring justice for these children, I need help. I need people to step up. I need people to put pressure on not only the chairs of these public safety committees in both the House and the Senate, but I need people to put pressure on the governor's office as well. It is time to stop turning a blind eye. It's time to look this evil in the face and stop it.
Right.
And stop it. These children are out there. They are not getting any kind of justice because these predators are being allowed to essentially walk with a slap on the wrist. So these children that survive this stuff, they're constantly looking over their shoulders. They can't heal properly because they're wondering who's going to know, who's going to see, who's going to, who's going to recognize me.
There's no justice for them.
Yeah. And they're wondering why, this person is back out on the street already.
Mhm.
Are they going to come after me again? Are they going to victimize me again?
Exactly. Exactly.
And so I ask people, watch that shattered video
Mhm.
and tell me that this is acceptable, that to not change this law, to not take these bold steps is acceptable to anyone who watches. I mean,
Mhm.
I cannot fathom how anybody can watch this video or hear testimonies and not say changes need to be made,
Mhm.
and they need to be made now.
Mhm.
Um, like I said, uh, God has put me on this path. He's given me this mission, and He has brought more and more people into the fight to help me.
Mhm.
He's brought you into the fight to help,
I'll be
and
here.
I give thanks every day. I give thanks every day, and it is it is painful for me to think about nobody listening to the cries of these children, their cries for help. And it just, we need to step up. We need to step up, and we need to say, no more of this. This has got to change.
You know, this has been really powerful, and God has placed this on your heart, and I believe God is really bringing people alongside of you to assist you. I'm here, and those of you that listen to this video, especially if you're in Minnesota, you can reach out to me, and it'll be on the bottom of the screen, info@janetpointsministries.com. Whatever information you have, I will get it to Representative Matt. And if you want to get involved, let me know. We'll do what we can on our end. But after, being raped, I went into the life of homosexuality for 14 years because of the fear that I had of men. I watched my stepfather beat up my mother and knock her down steps. I had a healthy fear of men for a very long time. I don't anymore. I don't have that type of fear. Now I'm out with a vengeance to do whatever I can to help our children or help those who are being victimized by predators. And there's so many women and men that have walked away, not only from their faith, but from their families, from churches, going into a homosexual life because of what happened to them as children. We have an opportunity to help. You have an opportunity to help. And God's going to hold you accountable if you're watching this video or even if you're watching Shattered. If you watch that, you're going to be held accountable. Not maybe from Matt and I, but God will hold you accountable. So let's do our part. Representative Matt, thank you for being on Healing and Made Free with Janet Points Ministries. And I'm looking forward to see how the Lord uses this podcast to help many other people. God bless you and thank you so much.
Thank you. And you're exactly right. We have shined the light. We have shined the light on this evil.
Mhm.
And right now it is scrambling to try to stay out of the light. But we have to keep doing our part to keep it illuminated and to keep praying and working together. Because we got to stop it. Plain and simple.
Well,
We've got to stop it. And I thank
we're
you.
most definitely fighting against the darkness.
And I thank you for taking the time to do this recording and to help me with this, because you're not, I guess I should say, yeah, you are helping me, but we're helping these children.
Mhm. Well, I'm hoping that many other podcasters will reach out to me and want to interview you so we can continue to get this message out. And I believe that's what's going to happen.
Thank you, John.
God bless you.
God bless you too.
Thank you.